What's up? What's up? So yeah, so little unorthodox live video, but um, here at a conference in Las Vegas, and just really trying to grow the brand and learn a lot, and just find ways to really get into more grocery spaces, understand better advertising, better marketing, better image for my brand, and really just how to tell my story better. And then one thing I realized while I was here, and sorry, what's up, guys? I'm Jared from Hook Shrubs and Spices, the founder and the owner of the company. Um, Hook Shrubs and Spices is a brand that we have allergen-friendly, allergen-free seasonings, free of the top 9 allergens, as listed by the FDA. Also, no MSG, no additives, no preservatives, you know, all natural ingredients, um, and even some organic ingredients in there. And so right now we have 9 seasoning blends, the dry rubs, and then looking to launch some more stuff soon. And really, like I mentioned earlier, I'm at this trade show. It's a grocery trade show, so grocery store representatives here. Representatives from all kinds of CPGs, so consumer packaged goods companies here, people that work with advertising, marketing, fulfillment, AI tools, all kinds of things. So it's very interesting. Anyway, one thing that I learned while I was here is I haven't really, I don't know. I've been telling two different stories, right? Two different versions of the story that is our story, right? And I haven't really put those together in quite some time. So I wanted to sort of give those stories and sort of give sort of put that out there, and then really I'm trying and working on trying to, I guess, combine those stories to make it a cohesive and consistent story across every product that I sell. So um, yeah, so my company, Hook Shrubs and Spices, there you go. We started uh, in 2014 as a business, but really, oh, there's the card. So and look at that. You can find us online. But really, we started as I started out because our daughter had severe food allergies as a baby. We found out that she was allergic to peanuts, to soy, uh, to egg whites, and to shrimp. And the peanuts and soy is like deathly allergic. Like, yeah, anything to give her, a anaphylactic shock, seizure, all that stuff. And I actually saw her, right in front of me go into shock multiple times. Scary. And really, the first couple times it happened is before we even know that she had any kind of allergy. Our doctor, our pediatrician at the time, really wouldn't allow her to get tested because she was, a baby, and I guess her veins weren't wide enough or big enough to actually, draw blood to get an effective test. So eventually we did get her tested, and come to find out, yeah, she had those allergies. So I looked in the pantry, and looked in our fridge, you know, found that probably about 75% of the food that she had, that we had on the shelves in there, she couldn't really eat. They weren't safe for her just because of, some kind of peanut potential in there, or soy ingredient, or egg, something like that that she couldn't eat. So it's sort of shocking. It's sort of crazy. Um, and I'm the one who cooks for the family. I'm the one who, grocery shops for the family. I was making the kids baby food, at that age for them. So, I felt like it was incumbent on me to make sure that I always bought, safe to eat products, for her. There was many a birthday party or celebration that she couldn't really eat the cake or whatever that, the kid that was having the birthday or whatever she couldn't really have. their cake. So, we made her cupcakes. We made her cookies, whatever it was that was the main dessert, so she could actually, be able to participate. Um, and we have two kids. We have my daughter who's younger, Savannah, and our son who's older, Jackson. And Jackson doesn't have any food allergies, so this was the first for us at the time. Um, so yeah, I worked, at a great restaurant back then called Del Frisco, down in Fort Worth. And at the time, my dad, my mom and dad bought me a smoker. And being from Texas, this when we lived in Texas. Being from Texas, that's just part of your DNA. You got to know how to barbecue, you got to know how to grill, you got to know how to smoke meat. And so I was sort of learning the craft, you know, on my own, and then I sort of sped up the pace as I was constantly learning and trying new techniques and new flavors, and just you know constantly cooking clean and good, safe to eat food for my daughter. Um, and yeah, you know, in the middle of testing, in the middle of blending all these different, just straight up, salt, pepper, garlic, paprika, chili powder, herbs, whatever it is, lemon, whatever it is. In the midst of doing all of that, I was, making food. I'd bring some up to work for our, team meal, and some people on the team would try it out, give me feedback. I'm like, okay, great. I just want to go back and try to make some stuff that's good and safe for my family. And at one point in time, the chef there, Anthony Felly, Chef Felly, uh, basically was like, hey, you know what? Let me try just the dry blend by itself, the season. And so I bring him in some samples, and there was a couple samples that I made that he was like, "Wow, that's absolutely insane." So he's like, "That's really good, and you could actually, Jared, you could turn this into a business. You could actually bottle this stuff and sell it. It's so good." And at the time, I was like, "Shoot, that sounds fun." I mean, I don't have anything to lose. I'm working at this restaurant, and I don't want to be there for the rest of my life. No disrespect, but I just didn't want to be there forever. And also, I thought about, how many people, if I create a product that was clean and safe to eat for anybody with food allergies, how many people like my daughter, would benefit from that. So yeah, so I was like, all right, cool, let's do it, and basically spun up the brand from there. And so I started the brand, and really to help people with food sensitivities, help my daughter have clean to eat, safe to eat food. And yeah, that's how it started. Um, and that was in 2014. We moved to Utah in 2015, the summer of 2015. So basically, like a little over a year later. But during that time, the first year, I had, started to, blend and bottle the stuff myself. Was selling by hand. Started a little Etsy shop just because I was like, all right, cool. We'll see what happens. And was making, a lot of good sales on Etsy. Um, a lot of word of mouth, and it was pretty cool. It was pretty interesting just learning it and doing that, going through all the ups and downs and wins and fails, if you will, um, during that time. And then, like I said, we moved to Utah about a year later, and then we moved to Utah, which I basically call a food desert, right? So in Utah, I remember famously my mom asked my wife, what was like the best food in Utah, because Louisiana has Cajun food, Texas, barbecue and Tex-Mex, um, and everywhere has their thing, right? So what did Utah have? Because she'd never been there. And my daughter was like, sorry, my wife was like, fry sauce. My mom just laughed. I laughed. And for those who don't know, fry sauce is basically mayonnaise and ketchup. It's something that, a lot of kids do. I did that when I was a little kid. I guess some places put barbecue sauce in there and stuff like that, or some kind of seasoning. But really, it's essentially just like mayonnaise and ketchup mixed up together. People dip their fries in. And yeah, so I was like, all right, cool. And that's basically the food desert of Utah, right? They have, they do green jello and carrots. Uh, they do something called funeral potatoes, which is basically like an au gratin potato, you know, a scalloped potato, I guess. Um, you know, just some very odd food choices in my estimation because I grew up in the South where we have, you know, good food and good food history, and really something that people visit the South, they visit Texas to get Tex-Mex, to get barbecue, you know, to get that Cajun slash, you know, Texas, you know, cuisine that's like, you know, bordering Louisiana and Texas. Like people go there specifically for that, and there's so many food regions within that state. You know, like sort of micro regions of food where there's good tacos here, you know, there's better barbecue there, you know, etc. It is sort of hard for me to comprehend that. So when I moved to Utah, I really leaned into my Texas roots and my Southern roots. You know, my mom's side of the family from Louisiana, my dad's side is from Mississippi. So I really leaned into that, you know, to basically show that the product that I was making had some legitimacy behind it. And also, you know, really just to say, hey, I know that, you know, in Utah, you guys don't really have those flavors. You don't have that authenticity, at least from somebody who is from an area where there actually is a food history and a food culture. So I wanted to bring that. And so for a long time, I leaned into, you know, my culture, my upbringing, that Texas, you know, the bold Texas flavor, you know, whether it be smoky flavor or just like the all purpose, you know, or even Tex-Mex flavor, like I leaned into that, right? Um, and yeah, so that's the story. But at the same time, I also, you know, try to cater to people who had food allergies at farmers markets or, you know, anything like that. Um, so yeah, so I guess I've found that at this show, I have realized that I haven't really been telling, you know, the story as one over the course of time. It's sort of been two different stories, more dependent on the audience that I'm talking to, and which it does make sense to a degree because, you know, you have one audience of people who they don't really care about the barbecue side. They just want something that's clean and safe for them or their family, right? And on the other hand, you have people who are barbecuers, grillers, smokers, whatever it is, um, and they want that barbecue flavor. They want that authenticity. So what I'm trying to find a way to do, and what you will be seeing, you know, as I continue to build this and put this together, piece this together, um, you know, you'll see a more consistent story, which will basically, you know, overlap into the rest of the brand story and what you see online. You know, what you see uh, uh, on our product pages, what you see in our social media, things like that, that basically tell a cohesive story. Um, and what I'm going to try to do is cater it to both audiences at the same time. And being at a show like this, this grocery show, being at a show like this, you know, I've been able to meet people that can help with that, companies that can help, you know, sort of put that together and, you know, bring my vision, you know, to reality. So, yeah, so I wanted to hop in here, you know, tonight real quick and just sort of, you know, put that out there, sort of tell my story and sort of how it's going, and let y'all know. And so now, obviously, it's like, you know, 11 years or so since we started the brand. Now we've been able to get into retail stores, which is awesome. Ace Hardware, specialty barbecue stores, grocery stores, specialty kitchen, you know, and cooking stores, um, and other places. I love going to farmers markets and meeting people and get sort of firsthand, you know, experience and just to chat with people. Also, we've been able to have our product, you know, featured on food trucks on their menus and in brick and mortar restaurants and catering. So it's really awesome to be able to grow in that way to all the different avenues. Um, and I'm just trying to look for other ways to continue to grow even more. So yeah, that's why I'm here. You know, at the end of the day, you know, this is a company that's, you know, that our family started, you know, for the main reason of, you know, making sure that the people that we love have safe to eat food, um, and safe to eat seasoned and flavored food. Uh, and so that's why we started. And, you know, we love our roots and we love our heritage and we'll always hold to that and lean into that. Um, but, you know, also, you know, are staying true and trying to stay, loyal and helpful to the people that need the food to be nice and clean, safe from all the allergens, no artificial anything, because whatever you put into your body, that's what you get back out. You want to put good stuff in so you get good stuff out. So, yeah, thank y'all for listening and hanging out, for this past, little bit. Definitely, comment, like, subscribe, check out the rest of our videos. We have cooking videos, we have some recipe videos. I have some unboxing, some how-to videos, things like that. There's a pregame playlist on there in case you want to do some tailgating and stuff like that. Recipes on there. And yeah, go and find our product on www.cooksrub.com. That's HOOKSRUB.com. Um, we have 9 different seasoning blends right now. We have merch on there as well, and some kitchen essentials as well that you can order. Um, and then follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Hooks Rub. Check us out, say what's up, see what's up. Another cool thing about ordering from the website and just joining on the website, hooksrub.com, is we do have a loyalty program. So, for every so much dollars that you spend, you get a discount on the next order. Um, and we have all kinds of fun stuff coming up. We have, discounts and sale events and things like that we run, fairly often. And we love for you to be a part of the family. Love for you to be, um, in the Hooks Rub community and to learn and grow with you guys. And really want to know, what kind of feedback you have. So once again, thank you so much for listening, for hanging out with me. I have one more event for this trade show, and then a day tomorrow with some stuff, and then I'll be back on the grind at home. So thank y'all again. Y'all take care. Hashtag We Smoke Meat. Take care of your family. Love you. God bless. Peace.